What's up, LEGO builders? A couple months ago, I expressed my love for dropships and built this beautiful craft, the Long Range Aerial Assault Carrier, or LRAC. It's already proving its worth in important battles, but there's still a big issue. I don't have a good way to fly my ground vehicles around, so today I'm going to build a version of the LRAC that can transport trucks and tanks to and from battlefields, or, as we'll see later in the video, important mining operations. If you're ready for more dropship action, don't forget to open fire on that like button, and let's get building. The LRAC gunship is one of the most important vehicles in my HAEF military. High-powered thrusters give this thing incredible range and carrying capacity, and it can pack quite the punch with its heavy caliber machine gun and ATG missiles. However, during the battle for Millennia Prime, a glaring weakness was revealed. The HAEF had no way to quickly move tanks around via air. They had to be transported by train or drive themselves to a location, greatly hampering their response time and effectiveness. As a result, a dropship variant was put into development called the LRAC HC-1. I decided to make this a variant of an existing model for a couple reasons. First, I love getting to build families of vehicles. Designs that have a similar base but are modified for specific functions are just such a fun way to build. It mirrors real-world military practices and I think makes my world feel a little more practical and real, which it really needs. Why design a whole new thing when you can just modify an existing model? The second reason is because the LRAC has the perfect design for what I want to do. I'm essentially creating a clone dropship or CH-54 Tarhe military helicopter, an aircraft with a skeleton frame that has most of the body removed so it can pick up and drop stuff off. And the LRAC is essentially a big oval with thrusters on the sides, so in theory all I should need to do is build one but with no body. Simple, right? Well, hopefully. The body does help stabilize the rest of the build, and I'll need the long unsupported roof to be extra strong so it doesn't bow or bend under the stress of weight. But at least I have a good starting point, the cockpit. This area will remain unchanged, even having a mount for the nose-mounted machine gun if I want to add one later. I found this roof piece with a cool sticker on it that looks kind of like the talons of some great bird reaching out to grab something, and I can't think of a better looking decal for a dropship than that. But let me know in the comments if you know what the sticker is actually trying to represent. I need the cockpit to extend back a little further, so I built some walls and added a wall of support brick to stabilize everything inside. This area is very important because it's where the roof and cockpit connect and where the larger front thrusters will sit. That means the cargo area will be a bit smaller, but that's not a big deal. Plus, even though most of the body will be removed, I don't want this to look too goofy and flimsy, so a body of some kind is necessary for a good frame. I built some panels with curved slope to round out the walls and added the connection point for the thrusters, and now I need to build a panel or hatch that will cap off the body. This will also act as the exit and entry point for the crew. I just threw together a bunch of slopes until I got something that looked good. Standard practice over here at Coconut Brick Studios, but depending on how big this turns out, I may replace it later for something flatter. The cockpit is done and looking good. Because this is a vehicle transport, it'll most likely be behind other armed aircraft when deploying its payload, so I'm not sure if I want to arm it, but I guess a couple racks of ATG missiles couldn't hurt. Now I just gotta figure out the roof. I'm going to keep the very top the same, making sure to include the various vents and air intakes needed for flying the ship. On the front end, I built two central vents out of molded cockpit pieces and some graded slopes that I think look pretty good, though I'm not entirely sure where all this air is going. The top of the roof comes together using a series of curved slopes running along the sides to round it out. I want to make sure to include the dark green highlights designating this as a military craft, so I built yet another vented area. You might be thinking I'm dipping into the vent well a little too deeply, but I'm just not sure what else to put on top of a sci-fi-esque dropship, since you wouldn't see a lot of pipes or gears up here or any other moving parts considering the thrusters are on the sides. Plus, the less I have poking out on top, the more aerodynamic the ship will be. When it comes to giving this craft a strong backbone, as it were, I don't think there's a better option than 1x Technic brick. I can span pretty much the entirety of the ship with 4 of them, and now there will be zero bending or wobbling. The tail of the ship will look the same as the LRAC, using a bunch of larger slopes to create a tapered back panel that will connect to the rest of the roof. After that, I just have a few little gaps to cover up, and I can attach this to the cockpit of my dropship. This is coming together just as I'd hoped. The front area looks big enough, and I still have plenty of room in the cargo section for tanks and other large vehicles. Now I need to cover up the Technic beams and smooth out the transition from roof to body. Just as I suspected, the hatch on the back of the cockpit was too bulky and jutted out into the cargo area more than I wanted, so I swapped it out for this less bulky one. Using some bracket bricks, I was able to attach larger slopes to the sides of the roof like this 1x10 slope that mostly matched the tapering angle of the back of the dropship. The final piece of the puzzle are these larger slope bricks that transition from the body to the roof so well it looks like they were molded exactly for this ship. The last thing I need to build for the body are a couple of tail fins for stability. These are secured by brackets at the very end of the dropship and may seem inconsequential, but go a long way to helping this look like a real aircraft. And that's it. The hard part's over. All I need to do now is build the thrusters, and since these are going to be the exact same as the original LRAC, I can just hit copy and paste. These were really fun to design though. I was happy to finally have figured out a way to use all the molded mudguards I had lying around. This is the larger thruster design that goes on the front of the craft. I wanted to build a large engine area on top with some foils or vents above it, then the whole engine tapers down to the opening that emits all the thrust. In order to create a somewhat round frame, I built two halves and connected them together via bracket bricks with studs on both sides. Next, I built a pair of small thick arms that will extend out from the body of the dropship, holding each of the front thrusters. This allows each one to move independently without smacking into the ship, and because they're now spaced so far from the body, I'll have more room in the cargo area for carrying things that are wider than the dropship. And speaking of that, I'm hoping to design more military vehicles soon, in particular some kind of tracked artillery or missile platform like the MLRS that could be hauled around by this bird and give the HAEF more of a fighting chance against mechs. The back pair of thrusters are much smaller and used more for balance and steering, having a similar design to the big ones but scaled down. I also wanted to mix up how the thrusters looked because I thought it would be more interesting, and small thrusters are less likely to get in the way of cargo. I once again have two halves that can't connect together, but instead of using more bracket bricks, I'm employing a sneaky little double stud technique I cooked up a while ago. It involves rounded 1x2 plates connected via small bar that give me a Lego piece with studs on both sides. It feels like I've been using this in almost every one of my recent videos, but it's just so effective. I don't want to have to keep referring to this as the LRAC HC1, so if you have any cool cargo aircraft themed nicknames, drop them below in the comments. The two halves, after being connected, get a little hat made out of corner slopes, then I can assemble the support arm, which will also be smaller to match these rear thrusters. I'm looking forward to hopefully building more thruster-based aircraft soon, because I've been more focused on ground units and haven't given most of my factions much of an air force. Now I can attach each of the thrusters to the dropship and it's ready to haul some cargo. Out on the plains of Kokundra, an HAEF research team is taking samples from small pools of translucent purple liquid bubbling up to the surface. This substance has become one of the most sought-after resources on the planet, traditionally used to create high-impact glass for windows and walls, as well as optic lenses for military vehicles because of its strength. But a captured quadrant alien recently revealed to the humans that with a little chemistry, this liquid can be transformed into an extremely efficient fuel source, perfect for massive mechs and other machines that would normally be too large and complex to power with traditional fuel options. This has opened up many new possibilities as well as problems, because the rival country of the FPSC was also given this information in exchange for helping the Quadranets escape the megacity of Moenia Prime. Now the HAEF and FPSC are in a heated race to find and secure as many of these underground reservoirs as possible, and thanks to the newly designed LRAC HC1, the HAEF have a way to deploy vehicles and manpower quicker than ever before, allowing them to target potential mining zones via drones, then fly in extraction and security teams before the FPSC can get there. And in the event they do arrive before the liquid has been extracted, tanks, which are normally too slow to keep up with such teams, are now present and more than ready to engage the enemy mechs. I think I might like this version more than the LRAC. The sleek skeleton frame turned out really good and gives it some serious speed and maneuverability. Literally, I can pick this thing up pretty much anywhere and zip it around the Lego room. I added a Lego hook in the back to the cargo area and can actually pick things up now, which is really fun, but I still need to figure out a good way to pick up heavier stuff like tanks. This marks a huge leap forward for the HAEF, extending their reach to the very jungle where the FPSC reside. But you know they've probably got some high-tech aircraft of their own ready and waiting. Don't forget to let me know what you think of the new dropship in the comments, and until next time, happy building.